Good evening. Tonight we're talking about airlines. The American airline industry, once a symbol of freedom, seems to be in a nosedive. Flights are being canceled, routes are disappearing, and carriers are unstable. It's a strange business model. Come fly with us. But also, maybe don't. It's a systemic problem, a complex web of economic pressures and baffling corporate decisions. So, tonight we're going to unpack this mess. We'll look at why your favorite budget airline suddenly costs a fortune and why legacy carriers are struggling. We're going to pull back the curtain on the chaos in the American skies. Because if we're all going to be stuck on the ground, we might as well understand why. So buckle up and prepare for some serious informational turbulence. Let's start with an airline that used to be the golden child of American aviation, Southwest. For decades, they were the scrappy underdog that won our hearts. They built an empire on a simple promise flying shouldn't be a luxury. But lately, something has changed. The airline that prided itself on its low-cost model has seen its fares creep up. Remember the great holiday collapse of 2022? It left hundreds of thousands stranded. Southwest blamed the weather, but the truth was an outdated scheduling system. This wasn't just a glitch, it was a symptom of a deeper issue. Southwest grew fast, but its core infrastructure didn't keep pace. It's like buying a mansion but refusing to update the plumbing. The result is a fundamental betrayal of the brand's promise. The airline that was built on reliability became the poster child for chaos. Trust, like a 737, is a heavy thing to get off the ground once it has crashed. The goodwill they spent 50 years building was torched in a single week. The Southwest effect, where their entry into a market would drive down fares, is weakening. They are no longer the undisputed low-fare leader. If Southwest isn't the cheap, fun, reliable option, then what is it? They're caught in a difficult middle ground. The personal touch is also fading. The company culture, once legendary, has been strained. The airline is now trying to pivot, talking about changing their seating policy. It's a desperate search for a new identity in a market that has changed. This transformation is a tragedy for the American traveler. We didn't just lose a cheap airline, we lost an idea. The airline is at a crossroads. It can continue down this path or attempt a massive course correction. But with rising costs and fierce competition, the flight path back to its glory days is shrouded in fog. It's a heartbreaking decline for an American icon. Now, if Southwest is the fallen hero, then Spirit and Frontier are the scrappy, no-frills anti-heroes. Their model was brutally simple: offer a low base fare and charge for everything else. For a while, this model worked, preying on our desire for a bargain. The ultra-low-cost carrier, or ULCC, found its niche. But that niche is now crumbling due to inflation. The entire ULCC model relies on a large pool of customers for whom every dollar counts. The problem is, when everything gets more expensive, that model breaks down. The cost of fuel, staff, and airport fees has gone up for Spirit and Frontier. They have to pass those costs on. Their brand isn't built on service or comfort, it's built on price. So when their base fares rise, the whole equation changes. Suddenly that cheap flight isn't so cheap anymore. The ULCC's only competitive advantage, their price, is evaporating. This has led to a full-blown crisis for these airlines. They are bleeding money. Their planes are flying with more empty seats. The demand from their core demographic is drying up. In a desperate attempt to survive, Spirit and Frontier tried to merge. But then, JetBlue swooped in with a competing offer for Spirit. The fallout has left both Spirit and Frontier in a precarious position. They are now left to fend for themselves in a market that seems to have turned against their model. The dream of democratizing air travel through rock-bottom prices is colliding with economic reality. The model only works when there's a wide enough gap between their prices and everyone else's. As that gap narrows, their reason for existing begins to fade. This is more than just a business problem, it's a social one. These airlines provided a service for people who were otherwise priced out of air travel. Their decline means flying is once again becoming a luxury. The party, it seems, is over and we're all left with the bill. Alright, let's move on to a legacy carrier: American Airlines. American's current crisis is a two-headed monster. On one side, a decline in domestic business travel. On the other, unsettling safety and maintenance concerns. Let's start with the money. For decades, legacy carriers made a killing on business travelers. Then came the pandemic, and with it, the rise of Zoom. Business travel has never fully recovered. American is now faced with a fleet and network designed for a customer that barely exists. In response, American is trying to pivot towards leisure travelers. But this is a game they are not well equipped to win. Their cost structure is too high. They're trying to compete on price with airlines that have a lower cost base. But the financial woes are the less terrifying part of the story. The other head of the monster is safety. American has been plagued by alarming incidents. These aren't just minor hiccups, they are signs of a systemic issue. The FAA has increased its oversight of the airline. The unions have been sounding the alarm, warning that cost-cutting measures are compromising safety. American Airlines is trapped, losing its most profitable customers and facing a crisis of confidence. Fixing this will require a fundamental rethinking of their entire purpose and culture. And then we have JetBlue. For years, JetBlue was the cool, hip middle child of the American airline family. It carved out a niche as a premium light airline. JetBlue was the craft beer of the skies. But now, JetBlue is lost in the wilderness. The middle ground that was once its strength has become its vulnerability. The airline is being squeezed from both ends. The rising cost of everything has hit JetBlue hard. Their model relies on offering extra perks while keeping fares close to budget carriers. But when costs explode, that becomes impossible. To maintain profitability, they either have to raise fares or cut perks. Their attempt to solve this was the bid to acquire Spirit Airlines. The plan was to absorb Spirit's planes and pilots, but the government blocked it. The failure of the Spirit deal was a devastating blow for JetBlue. They are now left back at square one, in a weaker position. They're now saddled with debt and have no clear plan B. JetBlue is now in full retreat. They are pulling out of cities, cutting routes and grounding planes. The focus is on cutting costs and stopping the financial bleeding. The customer who once loved JetBlue is now left confused. The fares are higher, the routes are disappearing, and the experience feels less special. They are losing their identity. Are they a low-cost carrier? Are they a premium airline? This identity crisis is at the heart of their struggle. JetBlue's success was built on clarity. Their current crisis is a result of losing it. They need to find their niche again, or risk fading into irrelevance. Finally, let's look at Air Canada. For years, Air Canada has been a significant player in the US market. They offered a valuable alternative for international travelers, but that is changing. Air Canada is now in the process of a strategic withdrawal from the US market. They are slashing trans-border flights and cutting service. The airline that once saw the US as a land of opportunity now sees it as a liability. Why the change of heart? Economic and political factors. The decline in high-yield business travel makes cross-border routes less profitable. The American market has become brutally competitive. For Air Canada, it's becoming harder to make money flying south of the border. They are deploying planes more profitably elsewhere, but there's a political layer too. The Canadian government is bolstering their airports as international hubs. They've implemented policies to make transiting through Canadian airports easier. Canadian airports are siphoning off international transit traffic. Air Canada has less incentive to fly point-to-point routes into the US. This retreat is a damning indictment of American aviation. When a foreign carrier looks at the US market and says, "It's not worth the hassle," that's a red flag. The departure of Air Canada routes means less competition and fewer choices for American travelers. It's another brick being pulled from the wall of the American aviation network. It's a quiet retreat, but its implications are profound. It shows that the crisis in American skies is not just an internal affair. The problems are repelling foreign investment and partnership. The world is looking at the American airline industry with caution, and that should worry all of us. So where does this leave us? Stranded, apparently. The system is broken, leaving us with fewer choices and higher prices. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a breakdown in critical infrastructure. The dream of easy, affordable air travel feels distant. We've seen how corporate missteps and economic realities created this storm. The result is an industry that serves neither its customers nor its shareholders well. What's the solution? There's no easy answer. It will require reinvestment in technology and a rethinking of business models. The path forward is unclear, but continuing down this runway leads only to a crash. Let us know your thoughts in the comments.